warming blanket!
What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is obviously another catch-up video. This time around, it is not for 2021 films. It is instead for 2022 films that I've seen in January and February of, you guessed it, 2022. So this is obviously a catch-up video, so I will be talking about these movies very briefly. If you guys want to know my further in-depth thoughts, you guys can check them out on Letterboxd, where I did write out reviews when originally I saw these movies, so you guys can check that out down below. But obviously, this is from January 1st to February 28th of movies that I've seen that are 2022 films. So again, these will not be further in-depth thoughts. I will be talking about them very briefly. So anyways, enough exposition. Let's get started. So kicking things off, we have Scream. I know, it's confusing. This is Scream 2022. This movie I thought might be good, might be a fun time, but alas, I found myself very underwhelmed. Thought it was a mixed bag. Honestly, it felt like a retread of the original. I wasn't really feeling it. It didn't really feel like it needed to exist, which I know some people might argue what movie does, but I feel like a lot of movies do, honestly, prevail their relevance. But here, this movie just really kind of struggled for me personally. It was mildly engaging, but overall, I forgot this movie as soon as I watched it, not gonna lie. But yeah, this movie was a mixed bag. I'll personally be giving Scream a... But yeah, next up is Moonfall, which I did see this movie. I had an early screener that I was able to go to at my local AMC. I saw it, I think it was almost 2 weeks early. But I did do a review for that, so I'll just say briefly that this movie, I wasn't disappointed by it, but I gave it the type of rating where I felt like it could have been a really good time. But unfortunately, I didn't. I felt like as the movie progressed, I slowly lost interest, and it really kind of honestly trudged to that finale. And I felt like it was a movie that, again, you want to have fun with the schlock, but unfortunately, it's taken so seriously that it's hard to honestly have a good time with. But yeah, again, a forgettable movie. I personally gave it a... But yeah, those are my thoughts on Moonfall. Next up, this is a movie that I quite liked, and that's Kimmy, the latest Steven Soderbergh film. He is a director. I'm currently trying to watch all of his films so I can rank actually on this channel. But Kimmy, I had no clue what it was about. And I honestly wasn't too excited for it. I was only mildly curious because it's Steven Soderbergh. But right from the beginning, this movie hooked me, hook, line, and sinker. Sound design, immaculate. Performance, amazing. Honestly, Zoe Kravitz did an incredible job. Cliff Martinez' sparse score, really good stuff. Honestly, the thriller aspects, very much so thrilling. It's like Blowout, honestly, meets, I would say, like Rear Window, meets like Panic Room. It's a good mix of movies that you've seen before, but it's done in a very competent way. And honestly, I really like this movie, and I will be giving it a... But yeah, next up, Death on the Nile. I wasn't the biggest fan of Murder on the Orient Express, so I really wasn't looking forward to Death on the Nile. In fact, it took me a bit to honestly want to go to the theater, and I finally did, and it was disappointing. I mean, again, I had no expectation, but it was still disappointing because it wasn't a good movie. It wasn't even a passable movie. I found myself honestly dozing in and out, honestly, for this movie, because this movie, it trudges along so ploddingly. It's like an hour until the mystery actually kicks in and there's actually death, and it's like by that time you're like, well, did I care about the characters? No, I didn't, because there really wasn't development for them. It felt like, honestly, like a tour, and not like an interesting tour. It's like a museum of something that you're not even interested in. So I don't know. I just... Death on the Nile, I struggled with personally. It looks like it did well with audiences, but for me, I wasn't a big fan of it, and that's why Death on the Nile, I will be giving a... So yeah, next up is Jackass Forever. Jackass Forever, this was my first Jackass movie, not gonna lie. And I have to say, I found myself to be quite entertained by this movie. By no means is it a good movie, but I will say that it had moments that I actually genuinely laughed. The Silence of the Lambs bit was hilarious. The Apocalypse Now bit at the end was hilarious. Everything in between, honestly, was very cringy. It's not really my type of humor, but I still respected and appreciated the fact that all these people went through these stunts. Definitely would not do any of these. I have a phobia of bees and yellow jackets and whatnot. Definitely would not do that one stunt. But yeah, this movie was more cringe, but I know a lot of people like that type of humor. Wasn't my cup of tea personally, but overall, it's a mixed bag. I still will give it a light recommendation. I will be saying Jackass Forever is a... we'll be curious to watch the other Jackass movies. But yeah, so that was Jackass Forever. Next up, we have Uncharted. So I played the Uncharted 3, I believe it was, like years ago, like a decade ago, I believe it was. And I remember actually enjoying it. I actually remember being good at it. I'm not good at video games in the slightest, but I remember enjoying it and being good at it. So was kind of looking forward to this movie, but also not really, because I'm not the biggest fan of the director, and I thought that the cast also was like, oh gosh, also the studio. And honestly, all those red flags were warranted. This is a disappointing movie. It is a paint by numbers action movie that is just so generic. They throw in obviously Fast and Furious towards the end. This is a movie that I can't believe we're getting a sequel. I mean, I guess I can because people liked it, but I did not like Uncharted. I really did not. And that's why I will be giving it a... I can't believe I saw that movie. But here's another movie I'm going to be talking about that I can't believe I saw, but here I am. The next up is Blacklight, the latest Liam Neeson movie that most people stayed away from because it had like a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. You guys did a good job by skipping this movie. For me, it was a living hell. This is like, honestly, like an action movie meets Pureflix. You know, that Christian movie studio? Yeah, that's what this movie felt like, a cross between. Very, very odd, jarring combination of the two. It just does not work. Has all of the cliches of action movies of yesteryears, you know, with shaky camera work and everything. You can't tell what's going on. It's a mess. It's a terrible movie. It honestly might be a bit before we see a movie as bad as Blacklight. I'm not even kidding in terms of this year. So, yeah, Blacklight I will be giving a... Yeah, oh, man. So next up, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, let me phrase that. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. It is a movie that wipes out all the sequels, the prequels, and just goes straight from the original 1974, 50 years later. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one from 1974. That's honestly one of my favorite horror films of all time. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is genuinely terrifying, genuinely horrifying. It's an incredible film. It feels like something you're not supposed to watch. So I was curious about, honestly, the sequel, but right from the beginning, I knew we were off to a troublesome start. Leatherface looks like he's a character from Rob Zombie's movies, and honestly, this whole movie felt like a Rob Zombie movie. And not in a good way. I struggled with this movie. I really did. Honestly, this movie was headache-inducing. Did not like it in the slightest. It was 83 minutes long, the same length as the original, and I will take the original a billion, thousand, all the numbers in the world over this movie. I will never watch this movie again. This movie was utter trash. Did not like it. It's a movie that should not exist, but here we are, and it's on Netflix's streaming service forever. Lovely. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I will be giving a... But yeah, that's my thoughts on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And now, the last but not least, we have The Kirsten, which is an independent horror film, period piece. This movie, honestly, I liked. I thought this movie was all right. It's a movie that isn't for everyone. It's a slow burn movie. It's got vibes of like The Witch, but not as great as The Witch. But I did get vibes from The Witch from this movie. And I think that this movie is at its best when it's not showing the monster. Once it shows the monster, the CGI for it really kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. But besides that, and a couple other things I wasn't too keen on, this movie did keep me engaged throughout, no lie. And I honestly think that this movie might not be for everyone, as I mentioned, but if you're someone that likes slow burn horror, that slowly, delves you into the horror of being in this, time period and everything, I think you'll like this movie. I, for me, personally, will say that it's worth your time, and I will be giving it a... But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on the 2022 films that I've seen in, obviously, January and February of this year. Let me know your thoughts, guys, down below on any of these movies that you've seen, if you've seen any of them. And, yeah, I will be trying to watch The Batman. I will be seeing it. I'm filming this on a Friday. I'll be trying to watch it on next Wednesday, get to see an early screening. And that movie I probably will be watching and reviewing, just on a single review, so that way I can give more in-depth thoughts. But still haven't decided, but we'll see. But anyways... Again, let me know your thoughts, guys, down below. And as always, don't forget to subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.